So I am Barrett Barger,
And I am Jackson Maddock.
and we are interviewing Mrs. Jeanne Jaskolski for the Milwaukee Memory Project. So first question, on what day and in what city were you born?
I was born on April 2nd, 1941 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at St. Joseph's Hospital.
All right. Can you tell us what neighborhoods you grew up in?
Okay, I lived on 34th, around 34th and St. Paul Avenue until I was in 5th grade. I went to St. Rose grade school till 5th grade on 31st in Michigan. And then we moved out to 79th and Townsend, which I say was off of Lisbon Avenue. That's the more main street there. And my parents built a house out there, and that's where I finished growing up, and I lived there until I got married.
Okay, and then about like the neighborhoods that you grew up in, did you notice like any notable like changes as you grew up, how they like evolved?
Well, the one on 34th and St. Paul, that pretty much stayed the same. I mean, it was the same people were there and everything, and it didn't really change much. I mean, not that I noticed anyway. I had black friends from school that were at St. Rose that would come over and stuff. I mean, it was, and it was fine. And then when I lived on 79th and Townsend, that was a fairly new neighborhood, so there wasn't much change that was going to happen. That was a pretty new neighborhood when we moved out there. And I went to Mother of Good Counsel grade school from 5th grade until I graduated from 8th grade out there. And everything pretty much was the way it was. It didn't really, the neighborhood didn't change much as far as, anything like that. But I mean, friends and stuff, it was a nice neighborhood. There were a lot of nice families and things. So
That's good. Have you been around there like recently?
Not recently. I haven't been up there. I went over on Burleigh about a year and a half ago. I had to go over there. I went to Bunzel's, actually, the food store. And then I drove up to where I used to live and stuff. And I kind of looked around. It looks different. Our house looks really different too. They have a big cyclone fence there and stuff now, but otherwise it's pretty much the way it was. But it's different from when I grew up. So I don't get over there that often.
So can you describe in some kind of detail your family, like your mother, your father, like any siblings, grandparents?
Okay, well, I had two siblings. I had a brother who was 8 years younger than I was, and I have a sister who was 11 years younger, who I still have, of course. And my mom and dad were both Irish. Anyway, my mom and dad were both Irish, and they had relatives from Cornwall in England and stuff. And my mom had relatives from Ireland also. Anyway, they were a regular mom and dad. I mean, just like any other mom and dad were. I mean, they were nice and stuff. And we lived next door to my grandma and grandpa, my mother's parents, when we lived on St. Paul Avenue. Anyway, my mother grew up in Hollandale, Wisconsin, which is the other side of Madison. My dad grew up in Milwaukee. My dad worked at Amco Metal. He was a foreman that was on Burnham. And my mom worked at Drop Tractor, which used to be on Wisconsin Avenue. My grandparents were from basically the same place as my mother, because that was her parents. My dad's mother, she grew up in Milwaukee. And anyway, like I said, I told you about my siblings. As far as my grandparents growing up, I have a lot of stories. I did a lot of stuff with my grandfather. I was very close to him, and they lived right next door to us. So my grandpa used to always take me down. We lived, on, as I said, on 35th, 4th, and St. Paul. He used to always take me down to the railroad yards along there, because he used to work for the railroad. He used to always take me down there to watch the 6 o'clock Hiawatha go through. And my mother used to get very upset because she always had me in nice little dresses and stuff. And when I'd come back from seeing the Hiawatha go through, my dress would be black because of the smoke coming up from the train. So anyway, and sometimes he would take me to the I can't remember the name of it anymore. There was a bar down there. He'd take me to that bar, and I'd have a soda, and he'd have a beer. But I did a lot with my grandpa, so he was a good guy. And my grandma too. I did a lot with her. She taught me how to make bread and stuff like that. So, but anyway, and I went to, like I said, when I was in grade school, I went to St. Rose of Lima, and I went to church there until I was in 5th grade. Then, like I said, I moved out to this other area on 79th and Townsend, and then I went to Mother Good Counsel School and church. I also went to junior high at Mother Good Counsel. They had a junior high that went up through 9th grade, so I was there through 9th grade. And after that, then I when I was a sophomore, I started at Pius High School. I graduated from Pius in 1959, and then I went to Mount Mary. I only went to Mount Mary for a year because I really didn't want to go to college, and my dad wanted me to. I wanted to be an airline hostess. But anyway, then I met my person who was going to be my husband. Well, he didn't want me to be an airline hostess either. So I never did it. Maybe in my next life, you guys. But anyway, so then, like I said, I started working and stuff, and I worked at some insurance companies. I worked at Market Men's Mutual, which was near Marquette, which was nice because Ron was my husband to be, was going to school there. And I ended up, my last job was at Robert W. Baird. I was secretary to 5 of the brokers. And I loved working there. It was very interesting. Matter of fact, I was there when John Kennedy got shot. And I was at lunch when it happened, because, you know, it happened around noon. And I remember when I came back from lunch, the office was full of people, and there was even some man sitting at my desk, and I didn't know what had happened because I wasn't, you know, and that's how I found out that he had been shot. So anyway, I worked there until I had my first child, which was in 1965. I got married in 1964. In August of 1964, I had my first child in June of 1965. Why is that doing that? And then I didn't work after that. I stayed home with my kids because we had 4 children, and one was born in 65, another daughter was born in 66, my son was born in 68, and Sarah was born in 1970. So I was home because I didn't want to work when my kids were at home and little. I wanted to be home with them. Mm-hmm. So after my kids got done, we're all in school, and basically, and I think in high school, right? Then I went to work in my husband's law office in 1985. And I worked in my husband's law office until 2014.
Okay. I'd like to just do a little recap just to cover the things you said. So you said you were very close to your grandparents, especially your grandpa. Yes. And you you learned how to make bread with your grandma? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. My grandpa had a workshop in his basement because he was retired. So I used to go down there and I used to make stuff. And you know, just do things with him. But you know what he always told me? If I didn't behave, he'd put me out through the hole in the wall, which was the door. He always told me that. So I never got put out, but I came close. And he also had a rooster down his basement named Thompson who crowed every morning. And I don't know where he got it. I don't remember anymore, but he was in a big cage in the basement And I could hear him next door because we live next door. I could hear him crowing about 6 o'clock in the morning. So, but you know, he was a good guy. He was a fun guy to hang out with. So his name was John Ryan. So anyway.
And then a little later, you said that you went to Mount Mary for a year, but that you didn't want to go to college.
No, I didn't really feel I needed it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to go into anything that I needed college for. So
Yep.
I just went the year, then I started working.
Yeah. And then you wanted to be an airline hostess?
Yeah, I did.
Do you remember what
But I never did. But it never happened.
Oh yeah.
Huh?
Do you remember
Yeah,
what
it just-
led you to want to be an airline hostess?
Because I wanted to travel.
Oh.
Yeah. And I thought that was the best way to do it. I was be making money and I'd still be seeing the world.
That's a good reason.
Yeah, yeah. So if I wouldn't have met my husband, I probably would have been one. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, you never know what's gonna come. So I never did.
So tell us, how did you come to meet your husband?
Ron, my girlfriend. I had two girlfriends that lived over on the south side of Milwaukee. I lived on the north side, off of Lisbon. And when I was in high school, I don't know if I was a senior or junior, I can't remember anymore. But anyway, they kept telling me I had to meet Bomber. And I kept saying, who's Bomber? Anyway, he got the name Bomber because he played baseball a lot. So anyway, he worked at Jackson Park Pharmacy on 43rd in Oklahoma. He worked there, when he was in school. So I think I met him. What? I think I met him when I think just before we were seniors. And anyway, so they wanted me to go over and meet him. So I met him and stuff, and But anyway, so he asked me out and stuff. And he wasn't a soda jerk. He did other stuff. Oh, all right. He was not just a soda jerk. He did a lot of other stuff there. And anyway, so we started going out and stuff, and we went out, and that's why I never became an airline stewardess, because he didn't want me to go where I'd be gone all the time. And so he ended up, when I was at Mount Mary, he went to Marquette because he was taking biz ed. And so we went out and stuff, and we just kept going out. So anyway, but then I decided I didn't want to go. Well, if I wasn't I wanted to just go and get an office job. I liked that kind of stuff. And so that's what I did. And he went to Marquette, and we got married in 1964. And he had a year of law school left when we got married.
So where did you guys get married and when?
Yeah. We got married at Motherhood Council on August 29th, 1964. And we had our reception at Serb Hall.
Do you remember
when we had our reception? Huh?
Oh, I was just gonna say, do you remember how that was? Like, was it like a
the reception?
Yeah. Oh, and like your marriage.
It was great. It was really nice. We had a very nice reception. We had about, I'd say, 300 people there. And Ron was in Alpha Phi Omega fraternity at Marquette at the time, which he was there since undergrad. He was so all his fraternity brothers at the reception formed a thing in the middle of the room around me and sang to me. It was really nice. And it was a fun wedding. I mean, even my old boyfriend came with his mother. So it was fun. And then we moved in. We lived on 36th in Oklahoma in an apartment. And then after Ron graduated from law school, we had Ann right afterwards, and we still lived in the apartment. And then shortly after that, his mom and dad bought a duplex on 80th and Euclid, which is a block off of Oklahoma. So we moved in there into the downstairs one, and lived there until we built our house out on 123rd Street in Greenfield. We were there for a few years. So anyway, and it was, it was nice. And then I had the other kids. I had Mary the next a year. Well, I had her in December of 1966, and then I had Jim in November of 1968, and Sarah in December of 1970. I went downstairs.
Okay. And then moving on from that, were there any like activities or hobbies that you had when you were growing up?
Well, I didn't have really time for too many hobbies then because I had kids. So, you were kind of home with your kids, but my husband golfed and I golfed with him.
No, Grandma.
Golf lessons.
Like, no, Grandma. Like, we mean when you were a kid, like in Merrill Park.
Oh, yeah. I ice skated in the winter all the time. And I also belonged to the Ancient Order of Bookworms at the library on 35th Street. So I kept busy. I always was doing something. And I got hit by a car on 35th and Clybourne when I was around, I'm trying to think how old I was. I think around 8, 9, maybe. A guy ran a red light when I was crossing the street. And anyway, I just got a broken leg, but I was in a cast for I think it was about 3 or 4 months. So, but other than that, I mean, I wasn't hurt or anything, any other way. So anyhow, that's another thing. But I, I did a lot with the library. My friends and I were, did a lot of stuff there. We put on plays and, I even had a thing in my backyard where I lived where we put on a thing in the summer and had all the neighbors came. It was really nice. And we had this group, we called ourselves the Swinging Lariat Girls. You have the lariats the cowboys used to use. We jumped through the loops and stuff. And I mean, when I think back about it, I didn't kill myself. But it was fun. We always kept busy. We always did stuff, I didn't like to just sit. So anyway, and then, like I said, then we moved out to another house, and I went to Mother Good Counsel and went to junior high there and made friends. I played baseball when I went, and basketball at Mother Good Counsel, when I was there. And not that I was any big star, but I wasn't a bad player. But anyway, and then after 9th grade, then like I said, I started at Pius. So anyway, and I went there. I graduated from there in 1959.
So can you elaborate more on your time at Pius? Like, what kind of activities, clubs, relationships did you have?
Well, I had a lot of friends there and stuff, and I went out with a lot of the football players. Matter of fact, the one guy when I was a senior at Pius, the guy I was going out with then, he got a touchdown in the championship game with Marquette High, and we beat them 38-0. So, and we used to go to Gillis's on Blue Mound. You know where that is. We were there. I mean, in the summer, we'd all go over there. We'd drive over and just talk and visit, see each other. And matter of fact, I ran over my girlfriend's foot when we were there one time because I told her to move. I was backing up and she didn't move, and I backed over her foot. So she was in a cast for 6 weeks. But anyway, that happens, So anyhow, but we had a lot of friends and stuff, and it was fun. I had a nice experience with high school. I made a lot of friends and stuff. It was fun. So and then after that, then like I said, I went to Mount Mary for a year, and I had friends there when I was there that I had gone to high school with and stuff. And we used to always sing this song, bring out the old silver goblet with the MMC upon it, and let's all have another glass of beer. So anyway, it was nice. I have a lot of friends. Matter of fact, when we were in high school, we used to when we were if we were driving somewhere, if there were a bunch of us in the car, when we had to stop for a stoplight, we'd all get out and dance in the road. So we had the radio on. So it was fun. You know, we never did anything bad, but we had fun.
So I got a question about like the activities that you did. So you said like you would like play at your house with your friends sometimes, and maybe you'd go to their houses. But when you were doing like ice skating, or when you were doing like baseball or other sports, were there like buildings or like recreation centers that you went to?
No, it was just mainly with school. You know, it was when I was in school. We had a big playground at MGC, Motherhood Council, and they had a baseball team, and I used to play on that. And
okay.
Play basketball, you know, for the school. Yeah. Not any big to do basketball, but you know, just to do stuff. We played volleyball. I like doing all that stuff. And as far as the ice skating, I did that. Needless to say, in the winter. And like I say, and then my mother took me down to see these people from the ice follies. And anyway, they kind of wanted me to maybe think about joining the ice follies, because I was a good skater, but I didn't want to do that. That wasn't what I was looking for, so I didn't do it. But anyway,
you know where they ice skated?
The follies guys.
Yeah.
They down at, I think it was at the arena then. They would just come to town. It was the ice. It was, I think it was called the Ice Vanities or something. They traveled around. They were they were professionals.
Oh, yeah.
And they were, when I was there, my mom said, let's go down there. She said, they're talking to people about it. And I said, well, I don't think I want to do that, but I went. And they actually offered me to, you know, to do it, train with them and stuff. But I didn't want to, that isn't what I wanted out of life. I mean, I enjoyed skating, but I didn't want to do it professionally or anything. So I didn't, you know, that wasn't my cup of tea. But anyway, and then also when I was younger, I don't know, I don't know how old I was, maybe 5 or 6. I'm trying to think. 41, came home in 45. I was about 5 years old. My uncle was in the war, and he was in Marianas and stuff in World War II. He was my mom's brother. And this is just a little off, little thing to just put in if you want. And one night, my mom and my grandma went to play cards at church, and I was at my grandma's house, because that's when I lived next door to them, with my grandpa and my dad. And all of a sudden the doorbell rang, and so we went to the door, and here's my uncle home from the war. And nobody knew he was coming, so we called. They went and got my mom and my grandma from the church, but didn't tell them why. Just picked him up, and he hid under the kitchen table. So when they got home, you know, they were like, "Well, what's going on?" And well, then all of a sudden they saw him under the table. It was really kind of fun, you know, just nice. And so, you know, I really liked him. He was my favorite uncle.
All right, let's move on now. So can you tell us about some of the first jobs you had, like where they were, some of the experiences you had while working?
Well, my first actual job that I had was watching my brother and sister, because my mom worked. So I didn't work as early as probably most people, but I worked when I was in high school. But I started working at Kohl's on 86th and North. I'm trying to think. I was in high school then, but I worked there, so it had to have been sometime between, I guess, 54, 55, and 59. I got hired as a checker, because one of my girlfriends worked there, and she said they were looking for checkers. So I went, and that was a good job, because you made $1.50 an hour, which today sounds like nothing, but in those days, everybody else in the store, in the deli and the bakery, was making 40 or 50 cents an hour. So $1.50 sounded pretty good. So anyway, I worked there, and I liked working there. It was nice, and I used to take the bus, because I didn't have a car or anything. And then at one time I was working working there, and I was working on the express counter. And anyway, Herb Cole was packing for me. They used to come in the store once in a while, so he was, bagging for me so this lady came and she had this great cart full of groceries. And I said, you can't come here. I said, because I said, this is express. And I said, that's why we have it, because people don't want to wait for big orders. So I said, you have to go down there. So after she left, and then I thought, I bet you that Herb Cole's going to say, you shouldn't have done that. He said, good for you. So that was okay. But I worked there, and then I actually worked there when I was in college too. And I also worked there after I worked downtown. I would work downtown and then take the bus and go out and work till 9 at night at Kohl's, because I needed the money, So anyway, I did that for a few years, and then, like I said, once I got, where I was making better money, then I stopped. And but I usually worked downtown. I worked for Miller Brewery for about 2 months, but I didn't like the lady I worked with. So she was older, and I think she thought I wanted her job, which I didn't. But I didn't want to work with her, so I left. They weren't happy about it, but I did. And then I worked downtown for an insurance company. And then I went and worked for Baird until I was married. So anyway, that's about it. And then, like I said, I didn't work again until I started working for my husband. But I'd go in and help out at his office.
So you worked like a lot, like in different places?
You mean me or what?
Yeah, like
well, I
worked like all around the city, kind of.
I worked. Well, Kohl's was in Wauwatosa.
Oh, okay.
Is that what you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my other jobs that I had after that, I mean, not after, but even when I still had that, when I started working, I worked mostly downtown. I worked on Water Street. I worked on Wisconsin Avenue, right near Marquette. And when I worked for Baird, I worked on Water Street again. So it was downtown. Yeah, everything was downtown then. So anyway, but I worked till I had my first child, and then I stayed home. And I worked. Yeah, well, when I worked at Baird, I worked till I was about 6 months, and that was the first one that they let do that. And Ron was in law school, and we needed the money, not even though his parents helped us, but still. So I went up to the human resources guy, and I told him, I said, it's unstable. It says, did you hit something? No. Anyway, I went upstairs and I was talking to him, and I said, I really would like to work till like 6 months. I said, I know you don't usually let people do that here, because Baird was they had rich customers and stuff, But I said, I'll promise you, I'll always look nice. I said, you won't have to worry. So they let me stay till after I was 6 months. I worked there till April. I had Ann in June, and they even had a shower for me. So that was nice. But then I didn't really work anymore after that until I went to work for Ron. I stayed home. I wanted to be home with my kids. I go in and help out at his office, maybe when they were in school during the day or something, but not, I didn't work every day or, like that. So, and I worked there until, like I said, 2014, and then I retired because I've been there since '85.
What was it like working with your husband?
It was okay. It's good. I basically ran the office. Well, not because I was trying to boss people around, but I just did. And I love the work. I wasn't a legal secretary originally. I was a secretary, but I learned it fast. And I took care of the billing, and I did dictation. I talked to clients and stuff, answered the phone, and I did everything everybody else does now. And matter of fact, my son offered me a job about a year ago. I said, no, I'm done. He said, well, you want to come in once a week? I said, no. He said, I'm done. But, I worked a long time. So anyway, but it's interesting work. It really is. And I made a lot of nice friends there and met a lot of nice people. So I'm glad I did it, you know. But I probably wouldn't have. Because I didn't, I told him when he asked me to come and work for him, I said, I'll come. But I said, if it doesn't work out, I'm leaving and I'm getting another job. Because I didn't know how, you know, sometimes working together isn't so good. But it worked out all right. So, you know, and now I'm home.
So
Let's see, I'm just looking if
all right. So can you tell us about any experiences you had at County Stadium watching the Braves? I mean, did you ever see any games when they had their inaugural season in 1953?
I don't think so. I don't think I was there. My grandma loved baseball. My grandpa didn't. And I used to go with her sometimes, but I don't remember. I don't think I went that early, you know. It was after they'd been there a while that I went. I used to go see the Brewers when we had, you know, the Brewers team at I think it was Borchard Field. And we used to walk there because it was down in the valley, I think, as I remember. And we walked there. They had like a bridge you could take across there and stuff. I used to go there to watch the games with my grandma and grandpa. My grandpa never wanted to go. He wasn't a big baseball guy, but he'd go. And it was fun, you know. I like doing stuff with them. So, but you know, I went to games. Matter of fact, trying to think. We didn't go to all the games, but my grandma liked to go, so we'd go quite often. You know, when they were there.
Do you remember what it was like when either the Braves left or when the Brewers came to town?
What it was like when the Brewers came to town?
Yeah, like
when the Braves left.
well,
when the Braves left. Yeah, it was, well, everybody hated to see the Brewers go. Everybody was really pretty irritated about that. But you know, hey, what are you going to do? But we were all glad to get another team in here. So it was nice. It really was. And they actually worked out good. I mean, they were a pretty good team once they got going, you know. And we used, once in a while, the Packers played there too. They used to play at Milwaukee County Stadium. And I'd go, well, this was after I was married though. Ron and I would go. I remember one time we were there, it was winter, it was so cold. It was like 22 below zero. This guy next to us was sitting there. He was from California because we were playing the California team. He had his little jacket on, he was just shaking. So Ron, I don't know what Ron did. He did something so he wouldn't be so cold. But I mean, it was, you know, but I mean, all different things like that, you know, but it was fun. I like sports. I like football. I like baseball. So it was kind of nice. The only thing I don't do is ski. So, but I tried it. I went out to Mary Hill and tried it. I mostly fell down the hill and then walked back up again. I just didn't care for it. My kids all ski, and I'm glad they do. But I did water ski though, and I liked water skiing. I learned to water ski on Lake LaBelle out in Pewaukee there, or wherever it is, or Conemaugh. And we used to go out there when we were in high school. Some of the guys had a boat, and I used to watch my brother and sister, so I'd take them with us, and we'd go out on the boat, and that's where I learned to water ski. So I really liked it. It was fun.
All right. So so in the 1960s, there were a lot of movements regarding civil rights and fair housing. There were a lot of, notable figures like Father Grappi and, Vel Phillips. Can you tell us about any experiences?
Right.
Yeah, can you tell us about like any experiences or like how you personally witnessed that kind of stuff play out?
Well, I really didn't, because that all happened more toward downtown, the Third Ward and stuff where that was going on. And I lived out on Lisbon Avenue, so I wasn't even near that stuff. I knew about it, and I read about it, and you heard about it we didn't have a TV in our house till I was 13, because they didn't have TVs when I was growing up. So, we thought we died and went to heaven when we got our TV. But I mean, I'm just saying, you know, what you read in the paper, you know. So I never really witnessed any of that stuff, even though I knew about it and I knew what was going on. But I always got along. I mean, I wasn't that way. I wasn't racist at all. I mean, I just wasn't. I wasn't brought up that way, and I liked all my friends, whether they were white or black or whatever. They were nice kids, you know. What's the difference? So anyway, but I do know about it, and I didn't think it was right, but you know, what are you gonna do? So,
Do you remember like any specific headlines? Do you recall any headlines from like the newspapers at the time?
from what?
Do you recall like the some of the headlines from the newspapers at the time?
Oh God. Not really. It was just the usual stuff. As they had, I mean, somebody had a run in or somebody got hurt, you know, it would be in there. But you know, I mean, I don't think at that time I mean, it was, you have to read it in the paper, really, you know what I mean? And so I presume it was in the paper. I know it was, but I didn't always read the article because I'd seen it already.
Okay.
So, you know.
Well, I think we're at a pretty good pausing time for now. Why don't we take a 5-10 minute break, and then we'll come back and continue on. We're about over like 30 minutes into it, so we're at a good point.
Okay.
All right, let's take a quick
All right.
recess, all right? Okay, so can you tell us your political affiliation back then and any notable politicians you might have met?
Well, I was a Democrat then, and I like I said, I did meet Bobby Kennedy. And I don't know, they had some kind of a tea or something, and Grandpa and I went. I mean, and we talked to him and stuff, and nice. So, but I mean, like I said, I was a Democrat then. I'm not anymore, but I was then. So, I like the Kennedys.
Okay.
Did that make like the news about when John was assassinated? Did that like make it all the much worse?
Well, it did. Yeah, like I said, when he was assassinated that day, you know, I was shopping on my lunch hour, and when I came back to the office, all these people were in there, all over the office, sitting, and because when you have these brokerage firms, they have the broad tape where you get the news automatically. It comes in on the broad tape. It's, you know, it's like a thing that machine, and it comes prints on there. And I mean, we always knew about everything before anybody else, because we were just like getting the news like the news people did. So they were all there were a lot of people that had come in the office. I was, like I said, I was at lunch, but I really wasn't at lunch. I was shopping at the Boston store. But anyway, so when I got back, I couldn't figure out what was going on, because there's all these people in there, and we had a big office. I mean, you know, and there was somebody sitting at my desk, some man. And I remember I said, what is going on? And he said, John Kennedy got shot. And I thought, oh my God, because I really liked John Kennedy, and I loved his wife, and I liked his family. And anyway, that's how I found out about it when I got back to to work. So, but it was sad. It was, I remember they had the funeral on TV, and that little boy of his, that John, he saluted when the casket went by. I cried. I lived with my parents then, but I cried. I felt so bad for those kids. They loved him so much. Both kids did. His daughter did too. So it was a bad time. But you know, it's just too bad it happened. But anyway, so like I said, but then that's why Bobby Kennedy was running, I think, then after that, and that's how we came to be, with him, we were invited to this, like, I don't know, it was a tea or what it was. I don't remember exactly, but it was something downtown, and we went, and it was very nice, so, but anyway, he never got a chance really either to do that, so didn't happen.
Do you recall how like having tea with him was?
Oh, what?
How having tea with him was, or that day? How was the day like, I guess?
With Bobby Kennedy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, it was just kind of like a political thing that they had downtown, and I think it was, they had food and stuff. But, I mean, we got to talk to him and stuff. He was very nice. I liked him. I mean, I would have voted for him, that's for sure. So I don't know, but it was just, like I said, it was kind of a bad time in this country with all that going on. It's sad. I just, but anyway, and so, but we were Democrats, and like I said, we haven't been for a while because they really haven't had anybody too good. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, so anyhow, and so I don't know, what else can I tell them? What else do you want to know?
So, did you have any, like through your husband, did you get acquainted with any local politicians, like Wisconsin-based?
Yeah, Klimzabaki, who was a Polish guy, and he was congressman for Milwaukee, and he actually wanted Ron to run for his position. And he probably would have gotten elected if he'd have run. But we just decided no. He didn't want to get into that politics stuff. I know the one DA that was district attorney in Milwaukee too, he wanted Ron to run for district attorney. He thought he'd be really good. And he just, the thing is, when you're in those jobs, people are always taking pot shots at you. And I said, if somebody said something about you in front of me, I said, I'd knock their teeth down their throat. So I said, I don't think you better do that. And he said to me, he said, I have no doubt you would. So I didn't want to get into politics, and he really didn't either. So, if he really would have wanted to do it, I would have gone along with it, but I didn't think he did. So I said, people are so nasty when you're in that stuff, I didn't want to live like that. So he didn't run for anything. He did better where he was. He made a good living and stuff. We worked together. We got along. I'm not saying we didn't have any scuffles, once in a while maybe, but not normally. We got along pretty good. And I worked from 85 till 2014. So if it had been that bad, I wouldn't have been there. I can tell you that. So anyway, but I liked working in the law office. I enjoyed it. It was nice. I learned a lot of stuff I didn't know because I had never worked in law before till I started working for him and stuff. And I learned a lot of things I didn't know. So it was kind of nice. So anyway, since then I've been home.
So you decided to send you decided to send your son to Marquette University over Thomas More, which was Don Bosco. Why? Tell me why. Tell us why.
Marquette's a better school. My husband Ron went to Don Bosco, which became Thomas More, after a while. And he was talking about Jim going there, and I said, no, I want him to go to Marquette. I said, I think everybody that comes out of Marquette, they're good people. I said, they have manners, they are smart. And I said, they don't let them get away with crap there. I said, I said, he needs to go there. So we let him, and he applied, because I think you still do that, don't you? Apply and then you find out if you're accepted. Yeah. And I remember when I got the letter at home, he was at school because he was in 8th grade, and I got the letter. I was so excited And when he came home, I said, "You got in, you got in." He's like, "What?" And I said, "You got into Marquette." I said, "I'm so happy." So anyway, and he really liked it. And I mean, his kids have all gone there, you know, and stuff. So I kind of started a thing. But I think it's a good school, and I still do. You know, I just do. I think it's a great school for boys. You know, and Ron did too. He was very happy with it. So, you know, and the girls all went to St. Mary's Academy, which I thought was a very good school. They all did well. So anyway, it, you know, was what it was. I mean, they've all done well for themselves. But
And Ron wasn't like disappointed that he didn't go to Thomas More or Don Bosco?
my husband,
Yeah.
no, he would, if he wouldn't have wanted to do that, he would have said so. My husband always said what he thought. I just told him, I said, I just think Marquette's a better school. I said, when you went to Don Bosco, I said, it probably was pretty close to Marquette. It's not that anymore. I said, first of all, it was co-ed now. And I wanted him to go to Marquette. So anyway, and he agreed. I mean, we didn't have any fights about it or anything. He was, you know, okay with it. And he told me many times later that he was really glad he went there. So it was okay. But, you know, no, my husband never fell in his mouth. If he didn't like it, he'd have said so. So, you know, it's the way it is. But anyway, so that's, you know, and then I mean, they all basically all went to college, and you know, it's good. I mean, you know, my son went to Wisconsin, my daughter Mary went to Wisconsin, Sarah went to Alverno, and Ann went to Mount Mary. So they all got college degrees, which was good.
So going to Marquette now, I see the differences between like a co-ed school and like an all-boys school. Why did you want your son to like go to like Marquette as opposed to a co-ed school?
Because if you're going to go to school at that time in your life, which kind of decides what you're going to do or how you're going to be, you know, how you're going to turn out, I thought it was more important he went and concentrated on school. And not that he didn't go out with people or do stuff, he did, which was fine. I had no problem with it. I went to a co-ed school. I mean, you know, but my husband, when he went to Don Bosco, that was all boys too. So, you know, I'm just saying, I just think it's better. I think if you're going to school, go to school. You still can have a social life. And they did. I don't know what that dinging is all the time. Anyway, but I mean, I just think it's, you know, it was best for him. And I think my husband ended up thinking the same thing, and so did Jim. So, you know, I mean, it was just
So moving on from that, what did you do after you finished working? Like, how was retirement?
well, I mean, I had 4 kids, so I wasn't really retired just from that job. I just, you know, I stayed home and I was a mom. I wanted to be there when my kids came home from school. I wanted to make dinner. I wanted to be there for them. I saw there were so many women I met when I was working that had kids, and they never were there for their kids. And they thought it was more important that they be out in the business world. Now, I see nothing wrong with that, but that's not me. I had those kids. I wanted to be there for them. And believe me, I didn't baby them. I mean, they had to do what they were supposed to do, but I was always there if they needed somebody. And I still went in and worked part-time once in a while at Ron's office, you know, during the day and stuff. I mean, you know, I did. But I mean, I just didn't want to have a job where if they needed me for something or whatever, I couldn't do it. I wanted to be there.
I think that's very honorable.
Well, thank you.
Um, and then, were you still living like in Milwaukee at this time, or did you move when you were retired?
Well, when right after I had my first child, we moved out. We built a house and moved out to Greenfield on off of 123rd and Layton, and then we lived there until from then until 2015 when we moved into this condo where we live now. So, and it was hard getting him out of that house too. He didn't really want to move, but there were a lot of steps, the bedrooms are all upstairs, bathrooms, there was powder room downstairs, but not showers or anything. We had a beautiful basement downstairs, and we put a room in under the garage that was all brick, and we had a big pool table in there. I mean, we had a beautiful basement. My husband and his father built a field stone fireplace down there that we could, burn the wood in and stuff. It was really nice. And it was a beautiful home. But it was just that I felt at the age we were getting to be, we should get something on, more or less one floor. Because I was always afraid, somebody was going to fall down the stairs or something. So, and the kids were gone. So my husband wasn't real enthused about it. But when we came out and looked at the place we live now at this condo, my daughter had called me and said that she knew this lady and she had this place that she was a realtor, and she said, why don't you and Dad come out and look at it? I said, well, I don't know. I'll see if he'll come. So we did. So we walked in, and he walked in and he looked around and he said, we're going to buy this place. I almost fell on the floor. I mean, really, because he didn't want to move. So we did. And like I said, we've been here since 2015. Or I have now. I mean, he's gone, but he loved it. He really did. And I felt so good because I was worried that he wouldn't like it and stuff. But he told me one time when he was sitting on the couch or something, he said, I loved living here. So I really felt good, that I didn't make him do something he didn't want to. So it was nice, But anyway, what are you talking about, this Cream City grant?
And then you said that was in Greenfield and Brookfield, those two houses?
Our house that we built was in Greenfield, and now the condo I live in is in Brookfield, right off of Brookfield Road.
Okay.
Yeah.
What have you noticed as like the major differences between living in the suburbs that are like outside of Milwaukee and then also living inside the city limits?
Well, I mean, I liked living in Greenfield. I didn't have a problem with it at all. I mean, but I like Brookfield also. Everything is you've got everything here right within 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Because I'm a block off of Blue Mound, and everything's on Blue Mound. I mean, anything you want to do is on Blue Mound. I don't like driving on Blue Mound because everybody drives like an idiot. But I mean, I don't mind, all they do. But anyhow, I mean, if you have something to go or you have to get something, it's a matter of 5 minutes. You don't have to drive all over. And I mean, the stuff in Greenfield was close by, but nothing like it is here. It really wasn't, But I mean, I just think it's nicer because I'm older and it's not so far. So, it's good. We got Sendex, we got all that stuff here. It's all right, 5 minutes from my house. So anyway, I really like Brookfield. I'm very happy here. And I like my neighbors and stuff that are in the other condos. They're very nice people, So anyway, my age, that's the main thing.
So are you saying that you like being in Brookfield as opposed to like Milwaukee because everything's like a little bit closer together and it's easier to get to?
Yeah, I do. I do. I mean, I have nothing against Milwaukee at all. I mean, I lived there for years, and I mean, Greenfield too, it was very nice. I mean, we had a nice, area where we lived and stuff. It was fine. And, but I'm very happy here. The house was just getting too much. There was too much stairs and stuff. It wasn't, I was just afraid, either he or I was going to end up taking a Skype down the stairs, and that would have been it. So, because we had tile, like marble at the bottom of the stairs, it wasn't like carpeting or anything. And it was a lot to take care of. We had a big yard and stuff, and I just felt it was time to get something different. so that, you know, he wouldn't have all that work either outside and stuff. Because he loved to work outside and plant flowers, and he was able to do that here. He put flowers in here a couple times, and he didn't, you know, I mean, but like I said, he didn't live long after we moved in here, because we moved in 2015 and he died in 2017. So, you know, but I was just happy to know that he was glad that he moved here. That was the main thing for me. So, you know, it is what it is. But it's nice, and like I said, the people are nice, and I you know, I like it. So, anyway. So I don't know, anything else that you would like to know?
I think if we bring it back a little bit, so
Okay,
you grew up, this is kind of going back to when you grew up a little bit. I know
Sure.
we're backtracking, but
that's fine.
I have written down that like both your parents were Irish, you said, right?
They were Irish, yeah.
Okay. And then did you live in like a Polish or like an Irish neighborhood?
Well, there was Polish and Irish.
Okay.
I mean, it was, you know, I mean, there were a lot of houses, and there were Polish people and there were Irish people. I mean, it was, you know, there even were some Germans. So, you know, it was a kind of a cosmopolitan neighborhood. I mean, but it was, I mean, everybody was nice. I mean, we got along with everybody, and it was a nice area. And like I said, you know, I mean, it was a different time then. You know, even when I went to St. Rose, now you know where St. Rose is, on 31st there. And I lived, like I said, on 34th or 35th in St. Paul. I used to walk to school. But in those days, I walked to school in the morning. I came home for lunch, walked back, and then walked home at night. Nowadays, I wouldn't let my kids do that. I'd be afraid. So, you know, it just is what it is. But
Yeah, that's a little different.
yeah, it is. It's very different. I mean, you know, but in those days, that's what you did. And nobody worried, because it wasn't like it is now. So, I don't know. But, I mean, it was very nice.
All right. So just considering how long you lived in Milwaukee, what do you consider to be the biggest change overall, whether it be like societal, like physical, like what is the biggest change you've seen or you consider over the years?
Well, as far as neighborhoods, some of the neighborhoods have really gone downhill. There were nice neighborhoods when I grew up. And I mean, they have. And but I mean, on the whole, I think it's, you know, it's still a very nice city. It's, you know, and people are nice, and what is that doing that for? And anyway, it's you know, I mean, I like it out here. It's nice out here too. I mean, you know, people are friendly and stuff, and it just depends, you know. At this point in my life, this is better because I don't have to worry about a yard. I don't have to, you know, do all that stuff. They, you know, do it for me. They cut my grass and, you know, anything else. So, but I still take care of stuff, you know. You have to, because it's mine. And but like if outdoor lights go off or something, they could replace them for me. I don't have to do that and stuff. So it's, you know, it's things like that. You know, it's nicer when you're older. But other than that, I mean, it's, you know, it's very nice. And it's very convenient to everything. So, I mean, both places have their good points and bad points, as most do. But it's fine. The only bad point here is I live so far from everybody else now, because, you know, everybody else is where I used to live. But, you know, it's okay. It's fine. So.
Okay, well, that's all I have, Barrett, unless you have another question.
I don't think so. Barrett. Oh, you're talking to Barrett. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure.
You're talking to me.
All right.
But if not, we are good for now. I've got all my questions answered. Thank you
Barrett,
very much.
anything?
So let's see. in your opinion, what
Got one more.
company being shut down or leaving had the biggest impact on, the city and its people as far as you knew? Like, Alice Chalmers is no longer in Milwaukee.
Right,
Harnischfeger and Paulings and Harnischfeger.
yeah.
Like, all those companies, like, which one do you think had the biggest impact when they left or folded?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, they both were good companies. But I didn't have that much to do with, people working there or knowing about it. Maybe it was better that they did. I just don't know what to tell you. I wouldn't want to guess, about it. But it is what it is, I mean, it's just, it's change. We always have change. And, sometimes you get something better. So you always got to look at the positive side of things. So, I mean, I don't know. This is a bad time right now too, as far
Yeah.
as economically and everything else. So things are happening that maybe wouldn't have happened anyway if this wouldn't have happened. But this, this pandemic and all this other stuff. So
Yep.
who knows, you can only guess. So anyway, well, do you want any of these pictures?
Oh yeah, why don't we finish
Yeah,
up by
please.
having
Yeah.
you show us some of those pictures?
Well, I don't have a lot. I only got a few here.
Try and go chronologically. So
I'm okay. So do I just hold it up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why don't you just show it to the
Okay.
camera?
I didn't even know if you could see this, but this is one up here, down here,
no,
up
up a bit.
top, yeah.
up there.
A
All
little
right.
bit back, sorry. A little farther back. That's perfect.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
There.
What's that?
All right, that's when I was 13 months old.
Oh yeah.
Okay, got it?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and this is when I made my first communion. I'm the one on the right.
Oh yeah.
That's my best friend in the picture with me and her little sister.
Is that at St.
And-
Rose or Mother of Good Counsel?
St. Rose.
St. Rose.
Okay.
Yeah.
In front of your grandma's house.
What?
It was in front of your grandma's
Oh,
house.
this was, and that was also in front of my grandma's house. The one, remember I said she lived next door? That was in front of her house.
Okay.
So, okay, and then this is what the graduation picture that somebody took when I graduated from Pius.
Okay.
We had 500 some people in our class.
Oh.
Big school, yeah, there's a lot of people. And then this is my graduation picture outside after I graduated.
All right.
Okay, and then this is my husband and I when this is the last one. My husband and I, we were going to a dinner dance for his fraternity when he was at Marquette.
Where is that?
Where's what?
Where was that photo taken?
Outside of my house where I lived with my parents on 79th and Townsend.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I got.
Very pretty photos.
Mm-hmm. Very.
Oh, well, I know. They're there. So
Okay.
that's, that's yeah.
Yep.
Geez.
Well,
So,
thank you. That's going to conclude our Milwaukee Memory Project Oral History with Jeanne Jaskolski. And thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. You have a nice Christmas.